like it's going to be a good year next year.
You're someone who you love training that much. But what is something about training that gets you involved? Like, what is it something that your trainers do that gets you involved?
I hate running. That's pretty much it. And it's funny because I run every week. I still fucking hate it. And it's not like there's any specific form of running I like more. I just don't like any of it. I just don't like running, period. I'm better at sprints, naturally. I'm a quite explosive athlete. I'm better at sprints. But I just don't like running, period. But it just like, it's boxing. You got to spar, you got to run, and you got to hit the bag. That's it. Like, there's no real way around it. You know what I mean? You can do other stuff around it. You can do this exercise, that exercise. And training, getting ready for a fight are two different, like, almost like energy. Do you know what I mean? Because when you're getting ready for a fight, everything has a different type of intensity to it. Even the sparring ain't just sparring. It's trying to help you build towards something. But when I'm just training for training's sake, like, it's not like I'm against it, but you can almost fall into a sort of monotony. You know what I mean? And I think that's probably my favorite part, like the fight camps itself. I'm still out of, maybe later in years, I'm going to think, fuck, I don't want nothing to do with it. You know what I mean? But right now, at this stage of my life, I still enjoy the training camps. You know what I mean? I feel like every time I'm in a training camp, it forces me to try and evolve. Yeah.
Do you remember where you were when you first realised or watched when he lost the title?
Good question. When he lost the title to Ruiz, I can't remember, where I was. I can't remember. Honestly, I can't remember. It's weird, but the fighter that actually sticks out in my mind, like in terms of a moment that he had that really caught my attention, it was when Dylan White beat Joseph Parker. It's a weird one, isn't it? But it's because I was an amateur boxer at the time. Me and a friend of mine who also turned pro but recently retired, we were both working on the doors that day, and we were watching Dylan White's fight on my phone. And it was both of us just watching it, and he won. And the reason that fight stuck in my mind so much, that to the point that I recall it crystal clear even after all these years, is because he was probably the most inspirational thing I ever saw, because I knew where Dylan White started from. You know what I mean? And for him to go out there and beat someone who was an Olympic medalist in one of the biggest shows in London at the time, when everyone always kind of put him in as a horse to get beat, for me, kind of was the most inspiring thing. I don't think I can't recall off the top of my mind a moment in boxing that was more inspiring than that, besides maybe AJ winning the Olympics. And fighting ain't that complicated, and that's the mistake I used to make for a long time, where I used to think fighting's like an equation. It ain't really. There's a lot harder things to do in life, and I think in the sense of mental requirements, because I think especially being intelligent in boxing can be a blessing and a curse, because I'm sure a lot of intelligent people enter boxing and they will encounter the same problem. They'll apply their intelligence into the sport and try to find ways to make a hard task a little easier. And they'll find all these techniques and all these ways of training and all this other stuff, and they'll almost overcomplicate themselves. And then if they stay at it long enough, it's like trimming the fat from a meat when you're cooking. They will start to kind of get to a place where it's like, you know what? All I actually need is these basic ingredients, and I just need to put them together right to get what I want. You know what I mean? And that's where the consistency comes in, because without it, no matter how smart you are, you're never really going to put it together. You got to be out there often enough, fighting often enough, and just putting the one foot in front of the other over and over and over again. And if you've got a bit of luck, things will fall in place for you to allow you to do that. So yeah, that's boxing, I think. This year, it's probably, out of all the years I've been boxing, the last year I've had has been the toughest year, bar none. Both inside and outside the ring, mostly outside the ring, really and truly, because even though I've been an athlete since my late teens with, you know, powerlifting and then boxing later, I've never actually broken anything, which sounds weird when you think about it, but all these years, I think the worst I ever got was a sprain. Like, I'd never actually broken nothing, ever. So that itself was a mad, like, gut check. Fucking no, I can break something? You know what I mean? I think these are things that, as a young person looking in at boxing, you wouldn't realize this is the reality of things, you know? And even though I think I would say I was more fortunate than most because I was able to create some sort of stable financial income for myself outside of boxing that helped my boxing, when I broke my hand, that also disappeared. And that made boxing a lot more difficult from a professional standpoint. Young guys looking to get into boxing as a profession, not just doing it for sport, is, you know, your support network is everything. Whether that means you have a business outside boxing or you have sponsors. Like right now, I'm blessed enough to say, you know, Mike Lawrenson has done a lot for allowing me to, this camp and the previous one, to allow me to be back in boxing, you know, because it's been extremely difficult without it. And I think these things are part and parcel of what allows you as a fighter to progress. Because once these opportunities are there, you can now actually display what you have and don't have. But if you're always in a position where you're basically constantly on minus, your worry now isn't anymore, oh, let me display what I actually have. Your worry is just survival. Just pure survival now becomes the all-encompassing objective. And I think that's a terrible place to be for any young person, and especially a fighter.
And a big round of applause. There comes a point in life where you gotta learn to keep it moving. And what I mean by that is, you can't look at a problem, you gotta look through a problem. You see, the minute you stop, you're dying. And the minute you understand that,